Alright, so I already uploaded this, but I deleted it because I really want some commentary with it, and I didn't have any commentary. So I deleted it, and now I'm adding commentary to it, so hopefully I can do this fluidly without too many takes. So basically, I have these slow motion sequences. I can barely see because the sun's just clouding out everything, the sky glare, but I'm out as far away from all the noise as I can because we got some equipment noise and maybe some Mexican music and traffic noise. So hopefully you don't hear all that. I'm gonna have to put a filter on this to make my voice louder, so it's gonna make it raspy. Anyway, so basically I got the visible joysticks and the touch points, so you can see actually what my fingers are doing. The touch points will actually show the vector of my thumbs when it changes directions a lot easier. So basically what I'm doing is I'm whipping the weapon, and I say you always want to think ellipses when you're striking, but my thumbs aren't necessarily moving in ellipses, but there's a lot of sharp corners. Like sometimes it's a triangle, sometimes it's a trapezoid, sometimes it's a parallelogram. But the point is, when my thumb changes direction sharp like that, that's where the angular momentum is going to whip around that point. So pay attention to that when I go slow-mo, and you'll see a lot of power hits. And there's a lot of nuance in your strikes too. Like if you're not putting enough weight into it, it's not going to have enough oomph. It's not like spamming buttons. So every single swing has nuances steering that swing into where it goes, because you basically lob it over your head, then you yank it back to get that end to whip over. And that kind of goes for most of all double-handed weapons here. So you can see, like, even those awkward swings, you want to keep your attack vector very low to your face, because the lower you swing, the more that weapon's going to be in front of your arms, and the less your arms are going to be exposed. If you're swinging like wide circles over your head, then your arms are going to be out in the open and easy to strike. Also, the tighter you swing, the less your weapon has to travel. There I did a little underhand thing. I need to work on that. I'm not so great with, low attack. Now, the thing that makes the double-handed ball flail so nasty is that, of course, it has that ball flail on the end of the stick. So you can basically flick that handle, and the flail itself will put that momentum into it. So keep that in mind. And of course we have another slow-mo here. Headshot, a double tap, a follow-up, nice and tight. That one didn't have a lot of power into it, but as you can see here, I'm basically running that shit in, and every swing I have to make accurate. I'm not just swinging in the same way every single time. Every little swing has certain micro adjustments in the way I pull it. So it's not just like a set cycle of circles, I modify my thumb movements with where that end of that weapon needs to go. Just like now, you can see my right thumb is yanking back on that corner and kind of like a parallelogram, and that's basically yanking my arms back and whipping that weapon past my arms. Basically like when you swing a hammer or swing a thing in real life, you don't windmill it. You basically flick it over your wrists, then pull back, and then that angular momentum sends that velocity into whatever you're striking and keeps it compact. Forgive me if I missed some things. I'm looking at sky glare mostly right now, and this is mostly nighttime in this damn video. So here I come in right off the rip, headshot, transition into another headshot, and a little tap in the face, transitioning into a headshot that overswung a bit, but when I yank it back, the ball hits the back of his head. Now I'm stuck with one hand, and that's strange. Sometimes you got power with one hand with this thing, but other times it's like swinging a balloon. You'll see in a minute. But it basically turns into an elongated, regular one-handed flail when this happens. So basically you orbit your thumb in a way to whip that into the target, and if you're about to overswing, you just pull it back in. So basically how, you know, flailing works like this, basically the weapon's going to do whatever the hell it wants, and you basically just rein it in. You throw it out there, then you rein it back in. You know, just like a whip. When you swing a whip, then you yank it back and that tip whips over. It's just basically the same idea, basically the same thing you want to do. And it's kind of difficult because everything is analog, and that was a good arm snipe right there. Everything is basically analog, so it's kind of hard to tell you, okay, you move your thumb this way, you move your thumb that way. The best I can do is give you the basic idea. Basically, you're whipping stuff using ellipses and sharp angles with your thumb movements, and the timing and everything like that, you basically got to work out with your muscle memory. You know, like riding a bike. You know, nobody can really tell you how to balance a bicycle. You just got to do it until you're good at it, just like swimming or walking or throwing a baseball. Nobody can tell you what muscle to use when you're throwing a baseball. You just got to do it till you're good, and that's kind of like how this game is. So that's basic idea. Just come in, and you notice I have a lot of empty air swings. A lot of those are like probing swings, just in case he moves forward on me. It's already out there swinging. And the fact that I momentarily pause between every swing, that keeps my stamina up. And also that keeps my weapon forward in a guard position. And that's normally where I keep my weapon. That way it's easy to manage. If they close in on me, I can just raise it slightly and smack them. And if they come out, I can go overhead and step forward while I'm striking. Stepping forward while you're striking has a lot of energy. The AI tends to give you space to do that, though, so you can get that forward step and step into it and get your weight into it. But in real life, I call it, if you're playing against actual human players, they're gonna box you in more. They're gonna put more pressure on you. So you definitely want to work on footwork. Like when somebody's pressing on you, you want to work on backing up and swinging at the same time. You also want to work on moving forward and swinging at the same time. You want to swing and use your feet at the same time a lot. And here I got that one-handed deal, but it's not quite as crazy as the other time. I don't have a lot of power, and it's weird. I don't know how that bug works, because a lot of times your hand will keep spinning. The hand that's left will keep spinning. So if it's spinning with your strike, you got a lot of power, but if it's spinning in the opposite direction, it's like swinging a balloon. So it's one of those deals, and you can see how I'm swinging it out there, and I'm just reining it back in to hit that head. Like when I sense that it's going to overswing, I yank that right stick back to pull it back in. So you're basically lobbing it up there and yanking it back down, basically whipping, like I've been saying. So like just like that. And like I said, there's a lot of probing swings. I just lost it there. There's a lot of probing swings where he might go into that area I'm swinging at, so I go ahead and throw one out there in case he walks into it. So that's why you see a lot of swings out in the open. I'm not just flailing. I'm actually pausing for my stamina, because you don't want, you know, it's good to have like a double tap or a follow-up swing, but you don't want to sit there and just keep spamming swings. You're going to run your stamina out, and you have a lot more control over your body mass and your kinetic energy if you focus on one swing at a time instead of just spamming circles. So now I got the other deal. I have only my left hand, and it's working pretty well in that arrangement. Like I got a face hit there, but it's just not, didn't have a lot of power in it. And of course the AI just bonks me in the face twice and it's done. And some AI is more surprising than others. Some of this AI is like really aggressive, and they got like some haymakers. So it's pretty interesting. Each AI has its own personality and its own style. It's crazy, dude. Sometimes I feel like there's an actual player behind some of these AI, because they definitely do have different personalities. So there I go for the double swing. The follow-up swing's never as powerful, because your torso's staying still after that first swing. But that initial stepping forward swing, you notice how blah, he leans back a little bit, and when he comes into the swing, his torso leans forward, so his torso is putting power behind that swing. So there we go. A couple low ones. Bam. And that's normally how I keep my weapon. A lot of other people, they do it a little bit differently. Some people kind of cock the weapon behind their back, kind of like the hammer of a gun, and it keeps their elbows behind their back and less exposed. When I hold my weapon in front of me, that does keep my hands exposed to overstrikes. What a lot of people do, like I think Maximilian does that a lot. He kind of cocks his spear behind his back and his elbows are behind his back, and from there he can get that power hit because he's, I don't know, it's strange. Everybody controls this game differently. Like one style might work for somebody else, but another person might not quite get what's going on. So this is basically the style that works for me. My default hand position is in a forward guard position, and that way I can just wiggle the weapon up and down if they get close, and I can just raise the weapon up and drop it down for like short hits, and for the power hits I can pull it behind my back and go overhead while I'm stepping forward. So you'll see I got a couple short hits that don't go in a full circle. I'm just raising it up and smacking them in the head, just so the weapon's doing something while it's in that area. It's not just stationary. So bam, and then that short one, bam, and like that shot right there, that wasn't a full circle. That was just raising it up and smacking him in the head. So basically the way I kind of describe it to myself, I don't know if this analogy would translate to other people, but in a way, my left thumb is kind of like aiming a rifle. That's the rifle that I aim. That's what my left thumb is doing most of the work, controlling the distance and aiming that weapon, and my right thumb works as a trigger. That just comes in momentarily to tweak the angle or pull it in a certain way, but most of the work comes from my left thumb with a double-handed weapon. So like them short hits, that's more left thumb than my right thumb. But if I want that extra whip in there for a good overhand power hit, I'm actually tweaking it with my right thumb. And you notice how my right thumb just hits the screen for a minute, does like a quick hook or whatever, and then releases. But my left hand is always snapping back and returning to that guarding position. Dang, how far am I? Okay, I'm at 13 minutes. Good, I made it this far. Anyway, you see some of them short hits and a little bit of wiggling. If I wiggle that weapon in front of me, that ball flail is going to whip around that stick and do stuff. So I do that just to keep that area busy while I'm lining up a good shot or trying to get space for another shot. And of course it's hemmed up here. I wrench that damn sword out of his hand. He loses it. And if you hem somebody up and start wiggling, that'll break arms too. So that's also interesting. I can barely see this guy, man. All I'm looking at is the reflection of my face in the sky right now. So bam, bam, bam. I come in and see, like, that was kind of a blind shot, but he walked into it. And that's why I do that sometimes. When I'm closing in, I'll throw in a couple blind shots in front of me just in case he walks in. Like I said, AI is a little bit different. AI is a little bit more sporadic with retreating and moving forward. But when you're fighting human people, most of the time, they're going to press into you and try to push you in a corner. So you really want to work on your backstepping. I can forward step and strike a lot with AI because they're always retreating and moving back and forth. And there's another good hand snipe with a single shot. Followed up with another one. Wait, that wasn't the same one. And he's dead. Oh, that's it.